morning. Thank you so much for choosing Citizen TV on this. What's the day today, actually? Let's just check. It's 19th of February 2024. My name is Sam Gituku, and this is Daybreak, the show that brings you into what you need to think about as we begin the day. And today we'll be paying some special focus to what is happening in the political circles. We know that so far, most of the political parties have expressed their backing for Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister, in the position of AU Commission Chairperson. Of course, beyond expressing their support, there's nothing much they can do because it is the member states of the African Union that are going to make that decision. It is going to take some diplomatic concepts by the government, and of course, we'll be waiting to see how that candidature goes. We'll also be speaking about the cabinet retreat that begins in Naivasha. We also understand that members of Parliament from the Kenya Kwanza administration will also be convening in Naivasha for that important parliamentary group meeting, and they're setting out the agenda for the year 2024, and of course some of the concerns that are existing in the country. We'll be talking about that later on. But also this morning, the front page of the Standard is saying, cheers to jeers, Ruto no longer darling of many. Increasingly, the president is facing hostile crowds from his support base. It started in Rift Valley, and now Mount Kenya has perfected the art of jeering leaders in his presence. Has the populace run out of patience with their leaders, or are they just frustrated? It is the question the Standard is asking. William Ruto is quoted as saying that I want leaders to be respected. Heckling is for ODM, and we don't want ODM shenanigans in UDA. We do not want this kind of nonsense. We want a united country, is what he said. Well, high fees pushing children out of schools. A report shared with the African Union shows that the government plan to spend less in education and push parents to pay levies has denied thousands of children access to education, further widening social and economic disparities. 79% of African Union countries are planning to decrease total government spending as a percentage of GDP between 2023 and 2025, and more inside there. Joho's 2027 star rattles ODM diehards. Former Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho's presidential ambition has starred ODM, with leaders staking out who will inherit Raila's post as the party primaries beckon. London woman goes to jail over Nairobi FGM is another story that is on page 3 of the Standard, and so much more inside the Standard. Why Mountain is restless is the main story on the front page of the Daily Nation. They're saying it is the region that installed Kenya Kwanza in power in the 2022 presidential election, but the discontent brewing in the vote-rich zone more than a year after the polls has the top brass of the ruling party pitching camp there to turn the tide. Just what is happening there? It is a story that is on page 4 and 5 of that, and you see the images of Uhuru Kenyatta, Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president, and President William Ruto forced to reprimand hecklers during the presidential tour of the region. This DP Gachagua, President Kenyatta placed his legacy on the line in an unsuccessful succession plan, and President Ruto working to consolidate support in region key to his re-election bid. Another story, Kalonzo, we will soldier on without Raila. Former Vice President says the AU top job bid for Raila Odinga will not derail the opposition coalition from the goal to check government and offer alternative leadership. Again, community health workers get 3 billion shillings. Thousands of CHPs have received their stipend after the government released 3 billion shillings to cater for their monthly pay. And inside the 4 trillion budget to pay debt, foster growth, the government has unveiled the 2024-2025 financial year spending plan that coincides with mega loan maturities that have forced imposition of harsh taxation measures. And finally, Cabinet Secretary's Moment of Truth. Ministers and House leaders gather today in Naivasha for a summit to take stock of government performance that observers said could trigger the first shake-up of Kenya Kwanza administration. Some of the stories that are making headlines in the two dailies this morning. And at the back page is a tribute to Henry Rono. Day Rono ran hardest race of his life against American star Salazar and won. When Rono deferred to the race, to race the American over 10,000 meters in a 1982 national record attempt, Salazar used all tricks to entice him to run. He died last week at the age of 72. Now to the main stories in our newsroom. Fake gold and stolen land, why athletes and retirees target lot as conmen turn Eldoret into a city of scammers. Enforcers turn offenders. 4 police officers arrested drinking as Waiguru bar closure order in Kirinyaga takes effect. What's in the cabinet? President Ruto's executives retreat to Naivasha to take stock of his government performance. And pulling apart, the rift between governors and the national government continues to widen, with county bosses digging in for a fight over affordable housing and UHC. Good morning. We begin with yet another scam in Eldoret, where the elderly are falling prey to fraudsters conning them of their land. A family in Eldoret town is asking the courts to move with speed and resolve a case that could see them lose their 4 parcels of land. The family claims it was tricked into signing away their title deeds in a scheme involving the sale of fake mineral stones and fake gold to unsuspecting elderly. The scheme involves fraudsters presenting fake gold to unsuspecting pensioners and convincing them to give their titles to secure down payment of the same, as Brenda Wanga now reports.
It is famously known for the world-beating athletes that hail and train from here, but Eldoret town is quickly gaining a notorious reputation as an emerging playground for conmen and fraudsters. The evergreen town is also home to large landowners, and these people are the targets of unscrupulous people preying on what they see as easy targets.
Milioni mimi sijawahi kuona kwa macho yangu.
If not assisted, these people are dangerous. They can even kill us.
Hilikwachi shamba yangu napitishwa tarehe 2 mwezi wa 2 mwezi wa 2020.
Umeshaweka tu sahihi kwa hiyo karatasi, jua kwamba shamba yako imeenda.
In a packed courtroom in the town, 3 suspects are in the dock. They are accused of conning elderly people of their land. The suspects target retirees who own large tracts of land. They have perfected their con game that starts with the promises and allure of easy money. Mzee Charles Yano and his wife Mary Chepkonga are some of the victims of this elaborate con game. Mzee Yano says the road to losing his pieces of land started innocently enough. He was buying feed for his cows when one young man identified as Brian approached him with interest in cattle rearing.
Nimeona unanunua nyasi, ningetaka hata wewe niwe mtu wa kuchunga ng'ombe kama wewe. Hata mimi nanunua ng'ombe. Mimi nataka nione ng'ombe yako. Nikaona ni kijana very young, na ile maneno na tumia ni mtu, unaona ni mtu hana niambia, akaomba simu, nikapatia namba ya simu.
Soon after, Brian reached out to Mzee Yano again, this time with a lucrative, mouth-watering deal that would see Yano get a cut of the sale of a rare mineral stone.
Nika simu tena. Kaambia mzee uko wapi? Kaambia niko Charang'anyi. Sema ningetaka unisaidie. Kuna mzee sehemu ya Tangul Bay uko East Pokot. Hako na mawe. Na kawa hiyo mawe akaspecified kusema meteorite. Ile mawe natoka huko juu.
Baadaye aka-approach mzee. Akamwambia mzee, niko na mawe nilipata huko Tangul Bay nikichimba kisima ya maji. Na mwenye shamba hilo ambayo tulipata hiyo mawe pamoja anataka pesa na sina pesa. Unisimamie unipe title deed yako isimamie ili hiyo mawe iletwe na iuzwe na alafu nikurejeshe title deed yako. Mzee alikubali kwa sababu yeye ni mzee.
Yano would soon be drawn into an intricate web where Brian and his team managed to convince him and his wife to part with title deeds to 7 of their properties measuring over 13 acres and spread across Eldoret and Nairobi to finance the transaction of the mineral stone.
Niende kuleta mawe, alafu niuzie msungu. Alafu hiyo title deed yako itasimamia tu. Wakati title deed mawe imeenda kwa msungu, pesa inakuja, alafu title deed yako narudi na commission yako nakuja. Ilikuwa nichukue pesa kwa title ndio iende sasa kwa down payment 5 million. Lakini kwa ajili ya title sasa ili raise ambao pesa ambao sijaona, walisema to sign loan agreement ya 3 million ndio yende kurelease mawe, na hiyo ikafanya sasa title deed kusimamia isainiwe.
Yano and his wife say in the process of securing the loan, they were tricked into appending their signatures to a land sale agreement, and that is how they now find themselves in the corridors of justice seeking to have that sale reversed. But it is proving to be an uphill task. An investigating officer in Eldoret who is privy to the case says the web of deceit is complex.
Nakuja wako na vitu wanadanganya kwamba wako na kundi. Katika ile hali wewe ukiangalia wanakuja kukudanganya hii kundi tutauza tutafanya hivi. Kisha baada ya siku chache wanakuambia hapana, fanya hivi. Kutupatia title. Kama inawezekana tuiekeze, tutafute mtu ambaye atatupatia hela. Kumbe ule mwenye wanatafuta hela ni grupu moja, ni timu moja. Hii ni grupu ya watu 12, 15.
The couple aren't the only ones to fall prey to the antics of the gang in Eldoret. Joseph Kiprono too is fighting to get his family land back from the hands of the fraudsters.
Then I asked him, how were you paid? Before he told, I discovered that the land had been exchanged by a fake gold metal. But at the same time, he never revealed to me that we exchanged with the gold. But he said he was paid some money. How much? He said it was a lot of money that I wanted to buy a land in Chemelil for sugar plantation.
The victims blame the authorities in Eldoret of looking the other way and slowing down their search for justice. The investigative officer, who spoke on condition of anonymity, says the road goes all the way up.
Sasa hiyo kesi yako tu unapeleka polepole, unaenda siku 2, siku 3, siku 4. Ukikuja kama Eldoret, sasa wanaanza kuanza hata nao askari wenyewe hawachukulie maanani hiyo kesi lako. Inakuwa tu ni kitu tu kawaida. Ukikuta lands kutaka kusema, sasa ukifika lands unafiktimaiziwa. Unaambiwa wewe umeandika kila kitu. You have signed everything. So wewe ulikuwa unauza shamba yako. Ukiambia no, mimi sijauza shamba. Wanakwambia hapana, si ni signature umesign.
Mzee Yano and his family have been seeking justice since 2020 and are now worried that the delays are according the accused time to get away with their crimes.
Naona ni kama hao watu walikuwa na nia mbaya, nistuke, nikufe, watoto wangu wasikuwe na uwezo wa kuuliza. Wasikuwe na uwezo wa kusema shamba ni yetu, watasukumwa nje kwa sababu wako na titles.
They want justice to be served and their hard-earned land returned to them. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Interesting story right there. The cabinet convenes in Naivasha starting last night for the annual 4-day retreat of the National Executive. President William Ruto, who is in Addis Ababa, is expected into the country to chair a Kenya Kwanza Parliamentary Group meeting Monday morning ahead of the cabinet retreat. The retreat is meant to evaluate the government's achievements, as Ayub Abdikadir reports.
Government spokesperson Dr. Isaac Mora.
The second retreat for members of the cabinet and senior ranks of the executive and parliament will, according to the government spokesperson, give a scorecard on the accomplishments by the Kenya Kwanza administration since coming to power.
On the 20th and 21st February, cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries and other senior government officials will review the performance of the current administration in implementing their better plan, as was agreed upon during the inaugural retreat on the 5th to 8th January 2023 at the Mount Kenya Safari Club in Nanyuki.
The retreat coming against the backdrop of mounting public discontent and the growing list of concerns over the cost of living, with the continued deterioration in the state of the economy, seeks to create synergy among government ministries and departments for the execution of programs.
The retreat will also give the government an opportunity to evaluate the achievements made over the last 17 months with an aim of consolidating the gains made in order to create synergy for the execution of programs and activities in the 2024 calendar year.
The leadership of the National Assembly, where the Kenya Kwanza Alliance enjoys the majority, will report on the progress of the second session of the House, with an aim of aligning the government's agenda during the third session. The House resumed from recess this week, with major differences playing out during the debate on the Affordable Housing Bill 2023. Kenya Kwanza Alliance and Azimio la Umoja legislators clashing during the second reading of the bill. The thorny issue of reconstituting the electoral body IEBC amid differences on the composition of the selection panel, despite a High Court order that gave the Nelson Makanda team the go-ahead, will also feature during the meeting meant to reset the government's 2024 plan. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Nyeri Catholic Archbishop Anthony Muheria has accused the government of refusing to listen to the plight of Kenyans who he says are suffering the burden of high cost of living due to heavy taxation. Muheria, who was speaking in Nyeri as he launched the Lenten campaign at the Nyeri Archdiocese, is calling for a national dialogue on the Kenya Kwanza taxation policies, saying the voice of the people has been ignored. Martin Munene reports.
Kireti Catholic Church played host to Nyeri Catholic Archbishop Anthony Muheria, where he launched the Lenten campaign 2024 for the Nyeri Archdiocese, themed Integrity for a Just Nation. And here Muheria called on Kenyans to pray for the leadership of the nation, to have a change of heart and listen to dissenting voices.
Cost of living, which have just become totally unbearable. We are asking, isn't there space for government to listen? We've called upon our leaders. We've spoken to them about the tremendous strain they are putting on any ordinary Kenyan. But it seems that all our calls fall on deaf ears.
The church leader accusing the government of failing to address priority areas of concern for Kenyans and passing punitive legislation.
It seems that no one wants to have a conversation. We need dialogue about taxes. We need dialogue about the house levy. Yes, it can pass through Parliament, but that doesn't mean it is necessarily right. It is about what is a priority in our nation. Our Kenyans don't right now need housing. What they need is food and survival. Can we first address that and then come back to the housing?
Muheria, however, explained that the clergy is not opposed to the government and its projects, but maintained that there is an urgent need for a national conversation on the issues hurting Kenyans.
There is no opposition, there is no conflict. We are not fighting any establishment or arrangement or programs. We're just saying, let's sit together. We can, as a nation, work. So we are very concerned that the cost of living continues to be very, very high and that the leaders have actually refused to listen.
The Archbishop tasking Kenyans to seek divine intervention during the Lenten period.
It's time that we sat and spoke. We cannot force listening. We cannot force a heart to soften, but we can pray that it does soften.
Martin Munene, Citizen TV.
The Council of Governors has called for a crisis meeting on Thursday to deliberate on what they say is hijacking of devolved functions by the national government. In a letter addressed to 18 governors, among them those who chair the affected committees, the Council decried the use of members of Parliament to roll out projects that would otherwise fall under the preserve of counties, further widening the rift between the two levels of government. And as Chemutai Goen reports, the governors are also digging in for a fight on the planned implementation of the Affordable Housing Program as well as the Universal Health Coverage Plan.
Close to a week after declaring a stalemate on the deliberations surrounding the vertical sharing of revenue between the county and national governments, the Council of Governors has once again launched a fresh round of protests, accusing the national government of usurping the role of the devolved units. In a letter drafted by the Council's CEO Mary Mwiti, the governors lamented over what they said is the escalating disregard of the constitutional roles of counties, with the national government pumping in money directly through ministries and departments to the counties to fund functions that are devolved, and also using members of Parliament to launch the projects, causing what the Council said was disorder within the devolved units.
So hii kikosi, Your Excellency.
On Friday last week, the governor skipped the rollout of the payment of stipends to county health promoters in an event that was spearheaded by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at his current residence in Nairobi. The event is said to have rattled the county bosses who had proposed for the funds amounting to 3 billion shillings to be channeled to counties as conditional grants to facilitate the payment of stipends to the CHPs. Governors have maintained that health is a devolved function and as such, resources should follow the said functions. Among other things that will be discussed in the Thursday meeting include the implementation of the Affordable Housing Program. The governors feel left out from this project, with the national government only coming to them for land on which these housing units are to be constructed. Other agenda include the implementation of the Markets Development Program and health matters, which include the impact of the 3 ratified health acts to the counties and the disbursement of the NIDA county government allocation. Governors have previously also locked horns with the national government over other sectors, for instance education, where they opposed plans by the Ministry of Education to have early child development and education centres, ECDs, run by primary school head teachers. The push and pull between the two levels of government has been simmering since the advent of devolution, with the national government often accused of overlooking the roles of the 47 devolved units in devolved functions. Chemutai Goen, Citizen TV.
And now to the probe into the contaminated sugar nabbed at the port of Mombasa. A multi-agency team will be constituted today to retest the consignment of sugar. The team, comprising officials from the DCI, Kenya Revenue Authority, Kenya Bureau of Standards, and Kenya Ports Authority, will verify the 33 containers which have been seized and which are currently under the custody of KRA. The multi-agency team are expected to give a report of whether the sugar is contaminated or not. If the team finds that the sugar is contaminated, the owner will be given a 30-day notice to reship back to the consignment to the country of origin, failure to which they will have powers to order for its destruction. The official importer, Rehema Abadi, insists that out of the 46 containers imported at a cost of 214 million shillings, only 13 were contaminated and the remaining 33 containers are safe. 4 police officers spent the night in police custody after they were arrested drinking alcohol at a bar in Kirinyaga County, a day after Governor Anne Waiguru ordered closure of all bars. The officers were arrested during a swoop in Ngurubani area in Mwea as police officers were implementing the order. This comes even as most bars remained closed following the order.
Sunday afternoon at Kami's Bar and Restaurant in Ngurubani, a team of police officers on patrol to enforce the bar closure order.
Bar zote zile ambazo ziko Kirinyaga County zimefungwa kutoka leo. Closed. And a new process ya kuverify na licensing ianze.
While these officers enforced the order, these 4 police officers were on the wrong, as they were arrested during the operation. Security officers also recovered alcohol and other soft drinks, which will be used as exhibit in court. The arrest also coming just hours after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua warned police officers against engaging in the business of liquor, as that amounts to conflict of interest.
There is no way a chief, an assistant county commissioner, a deputy county commissioner or county commissioner can run a bar anywhere in the country. There is no way a police officer can run a bar.
But despite the arrest at Kamis Bar and Restaurant, most of the other outlets abided by the directive. A spot check in Kirinyaga Saturday night revealed that most bars were closed, with businesses counting losses.
Biashara iko chini. Sababu sana tumezoea jioni ndio watu wanatoka kazi, ndio pia kazi mingi zinaendelea. Kwa mfano huyu mama wa kupika, kuna wenye vrabu, kuna wengine wanapika nyama huko kwa barabara. Hayo ndio masaa. Pia kuna mabachelors. Wengi hawapiki nyumbani, so ni hapa nyumbani, hapa chini. Wengine kwa klabu ndio wanapatana, biashara pia. Lakini leo zimefungwa.
Mimi chenye ningesema ni tukubalishwe hizi pombe zimekubalishwa, watu wa enjoy life, bora tu wajue kuna pombe ile baya na pombe haramu.
The same was witnessed on Sunday as popular spots in the villages remained closed in compliance with the orders by the county.
Inatuaffect kiasi watu wa mbonda. Sasa sisi tunategemea kubeba usiku watu wakiwa mirefu. Sasa hatupati watu usiku. Sasa tunaenda bila kitu nyumbani. Lakini watu still wanaenda kukunywa na huku pande za Embu. Unajua wanaume lazima wapate gari waende huko wakakunywe. Wanaenda huko Embu ama Murang'a. Wanakunywa wakiwa warefi.
Naona wengi wameshindwa na kufanya kazi sababu wamekuwa addicted na pombe. Unaona mtu anatetemeka kama kinyonga. Akienda kusika kikombe ya maji, anatetemeka mikono mpaka hiyo maji inamwagika. Wengine wanaenda ni kama wanaanguka tu, ni kama walevi tu. Sababu ya ukosefu wa hiyo pombe, sababu wamekuwa addicted kabisa.
5 suspects were arrested in connection to the sale of the deadly liquor, including the owner of the bar, and 4 police officers are expected back in court on March 7th. Members of the Kirinyaga County Assembly have promised to fast-track the alcoholic bill to ensure they protect residents from unscrupulous business people.